Yes, welcome, my friends. And today it is an interview, and I've got a very special guest with me today, a very talented filmmaker. You may know him from the Ninja Versus trilogy, and if not, you should seek out the Ninja Versus trilogy, but also from the Trek Off podcast. We have returning to the spoiler room to talk about a new film and Kickstarter that he's got going on. We have Justin Timpane with us. Hello, Justin. How are you, sir?
What's up? Hi, how are you? Good to see you, Mark.
I'm doing good. It's been a while. Glad to have you back. You know, you are my only you're the second returning person I've done interviews with. The only other person who I've actually done more than one interview with so far in the show has been Catherine Mary Stewart. So there you go.
I'm in good company then. I'm in definite good company. I'm happy to be back, man. It feels like it hasn't been that long, but I guess it really has been a good while since we covered all the Ninjas films.
It's been a while since you started your Ninja films. I mean, I was looking back on IMDb just for the hell of it to kind of brush up, and you've been at it for 10 years, sir.
Yeah, Ninjas vs. Zombies came out in 2008 in October. So that was the 10th. October would be the 10th anniversary of when we first shot it. Mm-hmm. And we're in 11 years. So it's like 11 years ago, I was working on a script. Me and Daniel Ross and my buddy Arthur were poring over the ideas, and I was writing pages while I was at work. Don't tell my old job. Late at night. Just when it would get slow, I would be able to like write 5 pages here, 5 pages there, and I called myself a professional writer because I was getting paid while I was writing. So I guess that's the same thing. So
you don't have to say that you were getting paid for the writing. You were writing and you got paid. So there you go.
At the same time.
At the same time. So there you
go. 10 years ago, and we put that one entirely on credit cards because that's the smartest way to make a movie. And I think we put together something like $15,000 between tax returns and credit cards. And we made that movie and we pumped it out, and it was huge, and it went all over the country, and it was in like physical media and in video stores, and it was in England, and it was all over, and it did all these big numbers because DVDs were still a thing, and we were in family video, and it did all this stuff. And then the distributor never managed to get all of that back to us.
Oh, geez.
So
that sucks.
So yeah, we had a lot better luck with our distributor, Breaking Glass, who did distribution on monsters or zombies, and Uncorked, who did distribution on monsters, along with Left, who handled stuff out in the UK and worldwide on those 2 films, were very, very kind to us. And so those movies are actually finally in the black. It took a while, but they're both in the black. But Zombies will never get there.
Unfortunately, you aren't the first horror story I've heard of that happening. So it is unfortunate, but at least your next 2 films you were able to get in the black, and it's a great trilogy and successful. And then you came out with your Trek Off podcast, which and your Trek Off movie, which those were interesting as well, and those seem to do well.
Well, yeah, the podcast started. So I'm a huge podcast listener. I listen to everything I can get my hands on. I could tell your audience to go to 20 other podcasts that I listen to, but the only ones I'll tell them to listen to is the Trek Off podcast and the Totally Super podcast. Those are the only ones you have to listen to. But I listen to probably 20 others. And so I knew I wanted to get into it. And Ninjas vs. Zombies has a podcast in it. First time I ever saw a podcast in a movie was the podcast in Ninjas vs. Zombies, which was called the Suckcast.
Yes.
And so after I randomly had that as a scene, I then had the guy who did the Suckcast in the movie do a podcast in that character with another guy from the movie. And that lasted for a while before they finally dropped the characters and they just decided to do their own show. And they did that for years. And I became such a fan of that show. And of the ones I listened to, I eventually did Trek Off with my buddy Alexia, who I just realized liked Star Trek as much as me. And when that show started out, it started out as very much like we were trying to be like part Star Trek podcast, part like Jay and Silent Bob. So we're trying to be sort of as raunchy as we could while also talking about Star Trek. And the movie very much reflects that. I'll talk about the movie in a moment. Lately, the show we've toned down a little bit the raunchiness. Certainly, we're still rated R. We don't mind going there, but we don't feel the need after 6 or 7 years of doing that show to force ourselves to go there. And we also don't always just talk about Star Trek. We went weeks talking about Ready Player One. So it's really more of a sci-fi podcast with a Star Trek bent now to it. That is willing to go rated R, but doesn't always go rated R. So I really like, if anybody likes that kind of stuff, I suggest that. And then I have a family-friendly podcast called the Totally Super Podcast, which is my buddy Arthur, who helped me write Zombies, actually. My buddy Arthur and I reviewing every superhero movie ever made. And so that's what we're doing there. The Trek Off podcast, after I made Monsters was a bear, dude. I mean, Monsters was it's interesting because Monsters didn't cost significantly more than Vampires did. So the trilogy, Ninjas trilogy, is Ninjas versus Zombies, Ninjas versus Vampires, and Ninjas versus Monsters. And Monsters did not cost significantly more than Vampires cost to make. But we knew more what we were doing, and we knew how to spend the money more appropriately. So we made a movie that looks like $1 million. I mean, the Monsters looks spectacular for what we made it for. Certainly doesn't look Hollywood, but it looks 10 times better than most B movies that I've ever seen. And it's really ambitious in terms of the amount of action and effects and makeup and costumes and stuff. I mean, we really made an ambitious film, and doing it for the budget we did meant that I kind of was beaten down by the end. By the end of making the film, especially shooting the film, I wasn't having fun anymore. I didn't enjoy the last probably few weeks of making that movie. And then cutting it together was also a bear, but I like editing a lot. So finishing that movie was difficult but fun. So I decided that, well, we had a podcast, and I wanted to make something easy that would be cheap to make, that had no pressure to it. So we decided to make Trek Off. And we were like, hey, everything we do, every show we do, we'll get there 3 hours early, and we'll just go around and interview people and talk to them about Star Trek and see what we get, and then we'll cut that into whatever it comes up with. It seemed like an easy idea. What happened is we ended up doing 8 or 9 shows a year, which makes 8 or 9 full shooting days over the course of a year. And we would turn those into shooting weekends, which meant that we would end up staying at the hotels, the conventions we went to, and then we spend another day just walking around shooting. And by the time we did that, we ended up with not just coverage, but I'm talking 30 to 40 hours of content.
Wow.
And in terms of coverage, because we shot on 2 to 3 cameras at any given time, we're talking about 120 hours of footage. Which then we cut into a version of the movie which was 7 hours long, and all of it was pretty funny. It was all pretty funny, and I didn't know what to do. What are you going to do with a 7 hour long, Star Trek comedy podcast movie? What are you going to do with that? So I don't know. Where are you, Mark? Where are you physically located?
I am physically located in the center of Wisconsin. So
okay, so I live about 30 miles outside of Washington, D.C., right between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore.
Okay.
And I guess not last year, I guess 3 years ago now, we had an incredible blizzard that was like nothing that had ever been seen on the East Coast. And it hit here where we got like 3 feet of snow, like snow all the way up to the tops of cars. And I work in the medical profession in my actual day job or night job. And I was stuck in, when you work in the medical profession, you're not allowed to skip days during snow days. They have a designated hotel that I got. It's a crummy little hotel that I got the night before. And I was on call, which meant that for the place where I worked, if they needed me, I needed to be available, but I wasn't actually scheduled to work. And that's what I was already scheduled to do before the snowstorm. I was scheduled that a month out. And so the snowstorm hits, and I'm on call. I have to be there the night before because I'm on call for the next afternoon. So I stayed at the hotel the night before. When that stretches, I'm not able to leave the hotel for 4 days. And here's the fun part. It didn't occur to me until I was on the way to the hotel, and I was driving to the hotel when the snow had first started falling, that I didn't have any food.
Oh.
So I run into a pizza place. I get 2 pizzas, and I run to a 7-Eleven. I get 3 sandwiches and a package of instant oatmeal. And there's a liquor store, and I got myself a full bottle of Jameson's and Mountain Dew. And I live off that Mountain Dew, a bottle of Jameson's, 2 pizzas, 3 sandwiches, a bag of chips, and oatmeal for 4 straight days in a hotel room. But what I did bring was my laptop and all the footage. And that's how my 6-hour version of Trek Off became a 2-hour version of Trek Off that I then edited down. So had that snowstorm never happened, Trek Off may not ever have been made because I needed 4 straight days with no one. I have no kids, no wife, no job, just me, an empty hotel room, and the footage. And in a drunken oatmeal pizza-filled stupor, that movie went from 6 hours to 2. So that's the story of how Trek-Off got made. Is Mother Nature, God himself, wanted to see that movie finished and said, I'm going to blanket all of Washington, D.C. I'm going to cause the government to shut down, which will never happen again. In order for Justin to be able to finish this Trek-Off movie, I got to see where it goes. So that's how Trek-Off came to be.
Nice.
Sure. It's really happened.
That sounds like a good diet to have, though. I mean, if you're trapped in a snowstorm, because you'll
it's okay.
Be warm, right?
Well, I'm just going to say it's a good thing I worked for a hospital because I almost ended up there.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really bad. I mean, I've not had instant oatmeal since that day.
Yeah.
Like I won't eat it anymore because it got to the point where because pizza, right? Like the sandwiches, like 7-Eleven sandwiches, once they're open, they're not meant to be eaten 4 days later.
Yeah.
And the pizza was gone pretty quickly. So by the end, it was just chips and oatmeal, like oatmeal for 3 meals, oatmeal and Jameson's. It was crazy. It's really bad. It was a bad scene, but the movie's weird. The movie's fun. Everyone should go. Actually, I would say everyone should go check it out. It's a little difficult to check it out right now. We are until very, very recently. It was on Amazon Prime.
I was gonna ask if you fell victim to the purge.
I did fall victim to the purge. Not all the films, but some of them. So we're seeking other opportunities for Trek-Off, but I can't really do it because I'm busy with something else right now. So I'm gonna have to worry about Trek-Off after this thing is done.
And that something else is your film Cancellation, a motion picture. So where'd the idea for this one come up from?
Well, Jameson's. No, it's my muse. Cancellation is we found a house that was painted in a very lovely way. Is how it started. We moved into our new home, and the home we moved into had colors on the walls like I've never seen before. I'm used to living in houses with white walls or that eggshell white on walls is what I've always had my whole life. And this place we moved into has blue walls, gray walls, dark red walls, and that's all with white trim everywhere. So the house is a little bit like a comic book.
Wow.
Because it's all primary colors on all the walls. So I was walking around as soon as we moved in. I said, I feel like there needs to be a movie shot here. Because this is so vibrant in terms of the color. I don't know, who knows how long we're going to live here. So we're actually going to shoot it here in my own home. And so knowing that that's the case, I needed to come up with an idea for a movie that could be shot in a house. So because my brain is what it is. I mean, you've seen all 3 of the Ninjas movies, including Monsters, right?
Yes, I've seen them all.
So for anyone who has not seen Monsters, spoiler alert for Monsters, Ninjas versus Zombies and Ninjas versus Vampires and Ninjas versus Monsters, it gets weirder and weirder and weirder as movies go on. The first movie is just like there's ninjas and some magical zombies. By the time you get to the second movie, you've got a portal that takes you to a null space where the characters can converse with each other and also with ghosts, and the only way to kill a character is to put him into the null space. And by the end of Monsters, it literally becomes a weird existential time travel movie where you go into an alternate reality where whoever is killed in the alternate reality never was born and never existed, sort of like It's a Wonderful Lifestyle. So the movie becomes almost a time travel movie that like you don't like defeat the bad guys, you undo everything they ever did by erasing them from existence. Because I guess as I'm getting older, my brain is just getting more addled. Maybe it's all the Jamesons. I swear to you, I don't smoke weed. I don't. I've always wanted to. I've never had it. And now that I work in medicine, I can't. But like, I don't know if my brain is just like craving it, and so it's like pretending that it's been on weed. Because the plot of this movie is there's a sitcom a la Friends, and let's say you're Rachel in the sitcom comes to the realization that she's actually a fictional character on a sitcom. And so knowing that she's a fictional character on a sitcom, she realizes that when the sitcom ends, which it's about to do, that she will cease to exist. The way we've never seen Rachel again after Friends, she will just stop being. It's like dying. So she's now got to fight the show which is trying to end, and try and keep it together, or else she'll cease to exist.
Wow. And it's actually that's a bit deep.
It's a weird idea, and the thing is, it's a comedy. It's a hilarious movie. It's really funny because she realizes that the first rule of comedy is don't deny. Is you can't say no in comedy. So whatever she says in front of the audience, which she can hear the laugh track. Whatever she says in front of the audience comes to pass.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of gets like God or Q-like powers in the world of the sitcom. So it's really weird, dude. It's an odd idea, but it's cool and it's funny and it's really heartfelt and it's, you know, it asks some real like key questions, and like what is the meaning of life is part of it. The very first page, you can actually read this on, and we'll talk about the Kickstarter in a minute, but on our backer updates, I have the first 10 pages of the script. And the first page lays out the question about what is the meaning of life, which is life the continued struggle to not die? Or is life the realization that you're going to die and living as much as you can between now and then? It's sort of the terminal cancer patient's question, right? Where, you know, do I go and fight as hard as I can to beat the cancer, even though most likely I won't? Or do I not do that? Do I accept that I'm not going to beat the cancer and spend the time that I have living it up as much as I can? So that is sort of the existential question asked within the world of the bizarre reality crunching comedy film. It's set at Christmas time too, because why not? Let's throw more thing in. So it's all this Christmas stuff everywhere. At one point, Santa Claus actually walks in. It's a weird movie, guys. You've never seen anything like it, and that's why we want everyone to help us make it.
Great. And you did mention the Kickstarter, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today about it. So you do have the Kickstarter up, and I was reading up on it today. And before we get into what you all have on the Kickstarter and that, one of the things I noticed on the page that you mentioned a number of times is that, yes, folks, we are going to finish the film, which made me chuckle because you do hear stories about how some indie projects either were just BS to begin with, or they just started and it petered out and people lost their money, you know. So do you think some of those instances have kind of lost people's a bit of confidence when you do get a solid independent film proposal like you have up on Kickstarter right now? Do you think that kind of makes people a little bit more leery to where you might have to work just a little bit harder to convince people, hey, we will make this film?
Yes, I do. But that is not to slam those films. I've worked on those films. There's a film, I won't name it, that did a Kickstarter, raised way more than we raised. And I was cast as the main character in that film. And we shot that film. And through absolutely no fault of the incredibly talented, incredibly dedicated, incredibly hardworking filmmakers, because of a situation that they could not have predicted, the film got delayed. And then, because of another situation, the location where we shot changed ownership.
Oh.
And the new ownership was not that interested in letting these random people come shoot. And so after months of negotiation, the new ownership was like, okay, we'll do it, but it needs to happen now. And of course, they couldn't get everyone together in a week. They had like a week to get everyone back. So they raised finishing funds, and then people couldn't not everyone of the cast could get back. And so the film is still like hoping to get made. And this is a film that I was in. I put a lot of time in. I donated to that film. And I don't fault the filmmakers at all for that. It's, you know, they were first-time filmmakers and they were ambitious in what they were doing. And you know, the pitfalls that they fell into, or the pitfalls they fell into, are things that I probably would not have fallen into at this point, but they are things that I absolutely did fall into in Zombies. I just got lucky. And so I don't want to, I was worried about when I made our Kickstarter about saying that we're going to be ones to finish, because I know there are going to be people I know who see that are going to get their feelings hurt a little bit.
Right.
Like, oh, are you slamming us? And I'm not at all. I know people like I know a few films that never got finished where they put a ton of work in, and then stuff happens. Luckily, I'm shooting this movie in my house. So unless it burns down, and we're shooting it over 3 weekends. I mean, it's a really fast shoot. So unless it burns down, compared to making monsters, this is going to be nothing. It's going to be easy. We're going to have so much time. It's weird that I don't think how much time we're going to have just to shoot dialogue, because we would get to the point where we'd shoot a fight scene all day long and then shoot 6 pages, 7 pages, 8 pages of dialogue in an hour, and just be like, yeah, it's just the dialogue part. Just get it out. Get it out. We got to get back to the next fight. So the fact that we're going to have time to really get the performances and the shots right is going to be so wonderful. To have 12 days to shoot what's going to be a 90-minute film is less than 8 minutes a day that we got to shoot of the film, which is going to give us so much room to really make it look good. And I'm so excited about that. Like, it's for a weird film like this, you got to make it look as good as humanly possible. And you can't get away with just flash and dazzle, because you've got awesome people doing awesome martial arts. Like, your shots actually got to work in a film like this. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, I do think that projects that get canceled, pun intended, are making it so people don't want to donate. I also think that I don't want to throw fault or blame or shade at the people that has happened to, if that makes sense.
I've noticed that films in general lately seem to have to fight, work a little bit tougher than they used to, possibly to get funds for their Kickstarters. So that's why I was wondering on that. And
well, I can announce to you on this day, our film has reached its goal.
Yes.
We've 11 days to go, which means that what was the goal? Why did we make our goal only $3,000? I can make this film for $3,000. I still have all my equipment from Monsters, and I can absolutely make a film that looks about as good as Monsters for $3,000 if it's just a drama, right? That's easy enough to do. Now what we're doing, well, first of all, I'm going to say this a few times. If you go to getcancelled.com, GETCANCLLED, the American spelling, not the British spelling, getcancelled.com, it'll bounce you to our Kickstarter. You can also look up cancellation on Kickstarter as well and find the movie that way. We went with $3,000 because we're like, the way Kickstarter works is if I got $2,999 on Kickstarter, I would get nothing.
Yeah.
The film, it's all or nothing. You get it all or you get nothing. So we did the budget that we knew we could do to get the film completed, to make it so that there's a finished product that's pretty good. The next step we want to do, we talked about the purge, and yes, Amazon is starting to purge independent films off of their service. There's, they got a deserved reputation, and some of my films are part of this, for being the landing spot for everybody with an iPhone who ever cut a movie together. And it became so that if you looked up a movie about vampires, if you look up, like, for instance, Star Trek documentary, Trekoff was number one. And there are people who maybe would not have wanted Trekoff to be the one that they saw. There are professionally produced documentaries by William Shatner. There's one called The Captains. It's wonderful. And I'm sure people look up Star Trek documentary, got ours, and were like, well, this is not what I wanted. We wanted something different. And I think that is the problem that Amazon ran into. I don't want to slam Amazon, except, F you guys for doing it, because you also were providing a wonderful service. I understand from a business point of view, if they want to compete with Netflix, why they're doing it. But the flip side of that is Amazon was making money from these independent films. And I don't understand why there isn't a way to reclassify these films and make it so they're only searchable within the independent realm. So if people are looking for a good B movie, that they can find it there. There's no reason that our movies have to get confused with Avengers. And I think that there would have been a way to do that. And I'm bummed that Amazon has not chosen to do that, because I know every filmmaker I know who's made more than 3 films has had one of them disappear off Amazon in the last 2 weeks, which sucks. It sucks a lot. But in order to get our new film on there, we're like, okay, it's got to be high quality. It's got to have value in and of itself. And we're going to have to try and go, maybe to start with, going for festival wins and independent distribution and companies that can, make the old style deals with Amazon and Netflix and stuff. And to do that, the film's got to look really good. So the first thing we need to do is Monsters was shot in HD, which is 1080. We need to upgrade to 4K. Everybody's TVs are 4K now, and everybody wants 4K movies. And guess what? I don't have a 4K camera or 4K lenses. So that's, we're saying now that we reached 3,000, we're looking to go, we need to get to 4K to shoot it in 4K. Got it?
Nice.
See how that works?
Nice.
So 4K for 4K, that gets us there. And then I think we can keep going past that. In 11 days, I don't see why. We're at 3,100 at the time of this recording. By the time your people hear it, I'm hoping that we're close to 4K already. I think we can get it to 5. I think we can get it to 6 if we really push. So I'm going to ask everyone who's listening right now, check out getcanceled.com. There's information there. The first 10 pages of the script. There's even a rap song, guys. I wrote a rap song. We're shooting the video for it today. So by the time people hear this, you will see a video of a rap song that I wrote. A rap song about this movie. It's crazy.
Can't wait to see the video. I listened it on the rap song. You gave me a little in there.
How many independent filmmakers like make a rap song for their movie? Like that's love. That's true love, guys.
I want to thank everybody who went to getcanceled.com to help us reach our initial goal to make cancellation the motion picture. But it doesn't stop there, guys. We got to make it even better. Go to getcanceled.com and stretch us over the top. Yo, it's funny. To make films, you need money. And they say it's unbecoming to go begging for the funding. And so I'm wondering if I'm a dummy just because we are succumbing and becoming a GoFundMe. I've done a one knee, screaming on the internet, willing to go into debt, but willing to go stumping. Suddenly, somebody is willing to go shilling out a little bit of something. Kickstarter or something. One thing leads to another. We're erupting like Frodo was just dumping in the One Ring. We hit the minimum and now the film is imminent. And even though we're winning, it is only the beginning, cause we'll only make it if we raise the bar. We gotta make cancellation reach the stars, but space is far. We're gonna bring your face to Mars. Bring indie film off the bargain basement floors. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, but that doesn't mean we're finished. This is the minute that people gotta get in it. Admit it, you thought about it but you never did it. And now that we did it, you wonder if you should commit it. Yeah, that's what we gotta do. Now what I gotta prove to make a backer out of you? 3,000 was the minimum, but still we need a little bit to benefit the movie that we know we wanna do. If you want 4K, say hey. And if you want good sound, say ho. And if you want Spielberg to direct it with Tom Cruise, we'll do it. Sorry, I'm kidding, it's not true. I got you. Now what you're thinking about it, clicking on the link and let us do things we can do without it. Getcanceled.com's your chance to hop on. Advance is hot strong, that answer's not wrong. Now go to our Kickstarter, be a big star, do as if you be a backer. Look at the incredible people who've done this already. You can do it too. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it, made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. The story of the movie is a lady in a sitcom. Starts to hear the audience and realizes it's wrong. Thinks about her future and she theorizes it's gone. And cause of you the story will be feature size when it's done. Then when it's done, you get some swag if you backed it. Man, that's attractive. Anything from a credit to a signed DVD to a chance to produce or be in it. I get it. Another movie with their hand out while the people out in Hollywood all got it planned out. But that's why we need your help to make the movie stand out. Cause we found a different story no one else has found out. Come with us and help us make a movie about sitcoms and Christmas. Ambitious with characters who question existence and if they're fictitious. We need your assistance if we're gonna make the movie outside of the system that says we have no business to make the movie outside of show business. But we do. We're gonna make it cause of you. Ha ha. Bear witness. We did it. Made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it. Made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it. Made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. We did it. Made history, yeah. Come along, jump on to the victory lap. It's because of you guys that we made our goal, and the movie is definitely gonna happen. But we need to push it further. We need to get to 4K to make it in 4K. We need to get even further to make it better and better so we can take this story that no one has ever seen and make it real. Make it a reality, guys. Go to getcanceled.com. I'm so grateful to all of you. Peace.
So that's where we are. Yeah, we're getcanceled.com is where we're raising the money. And we've been blessed. I mean, we've had amazing backers saying amazing things. People have read the script, have given it really high marks. So I'm super excited to make it.
And I know many people are excited to see it, including myself and the diva of the spoiler room, Dawn, who was on our last interview. And actually, she had a question of wondering, was it more or less of a challenge to write the script because your main character is female? You do have a female lead for this. Was it was it more of a challenge to write from her perspective than, say, from the Ninjas versus where you basically had your three main principal characters were guys?
That is a spectacular question. Ninjas versus Monsters especially is a problematic film for a couple of reasons. I can even go back. Look, the B movie genre is, they're exploitation films. It's the men are going to do violence against each other. A man with muscles, I'm going to take his shirt off, and a beautiful woman, she's going to be, showing some curves. That's the genre of the film. It's a genre that I am not as comfortable with as I used to be. It's all in good fun, I guess. But we're in a different world now. And there's something that I realized about Monsters in particular is that the three main male characters all have their female love interests murdered in horrible ways in front of them, which motivates them to go do heroic things and get their revenge. That term is called fridging. It basically stems back to an old Green Lantern comic book where the Green Lantern's longtime love interest was murdered, cut up, and put into a fridge. And that motivated the next year of comic books for him. And it is specifically when you brutalize a female character to motivate your male characters. And, it's Deadpool 2 did this, for instance. The Crow is essentially fridging in a movie, like a movie about fridging. I had my amazingly smart executive producer, Liz Burgess, point this out to me a little late as I was editing the movie. And she was like, you realize that you did this? And I was like, oh my gosh, I did. I absolutely did this. And there's also a concept called the Bechtel test. Are you familiar with the Bechtel test?
Yes.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Bechtel test, it's female characters in movies 95% of the time are either talking to men or talking to each other about men. Whereas male characters in movies are mostly talking to men as well and are rarely talking about women, except when they're talking about how women are motivating the plot for them. And the Bechtel test is, can you get a 5-minute conversation in a movie where two female characters talk to each other, not about men, without men in the scene? And most movies fail it. As a matter of fact, Cancellation is probably going to fail it because there are only 5 characters. And after the main female character, the people she interacts with mostly are men in the film. But I really thought it was important after Monsters specifically to turn it around and make it a movie about a woman who is not a stereotype, a woman who is not there to be objectified, a woman who's not there for the fun exploitation factor, which again, I'm not, I don't hate, but there's room for not that as well in the world. I felt like it was an opportunity to take a female character who starts as your stereotypical love interest and who grows out of that throughout. I mean, it's codified in the film. It's like she comes straight out and goes, what I was the object of affection. And it's not so fun being an object. I'd rather be a person. And my existence is not centered around whether or not I end up with you or whether or not you end up with me. Existence is more important than that. So that is actually one of the things. Yes, it was a challenge, but it was a challenge that I deliberately took and that I was happy to take because I feel like too few filmmakers are taking that challenge. And I think that it's time that male filmmakers did. Women filmmakers, your Patty Jenkins out there, they are really good at advocating for women. But they're frankly right now, just because of the way demographics have worked out, there are a lot more of us dudes out there doing this. And we have to be the ones to stand up and go, hey, we're gonna support our sisters out there and be, write characters that are interesting, who are both male and female. So that's what it was, a deliberate attempt to try and do.
Did you have your wife or some of your female friends look over the script as well to make sure dialogue was correct? Because the toughest thing I notice with some indie films that are directed or written by men and they have a lead female character is sometimes the dialogue just doesn't feel natural as a script written by a female. So did you have it reviewed by a number of female friends to kind of make sure that you had things correct?
I did, especially with my wife. I kind of know. So most of my favorite things lately have all been with female characters. So I have a lot more examples. I think that one of the reasons that maybe male screenwriters, especially independent and B movie screenwriters, had such a hard time writing for women is they had no example of women to write for.
Right
out there. It's if you want to write Star Trek, sorry, look at Captain Janeway in Star Trek Voyager. She's a terribly written woman. She's terrible. She is written either as a man or as being super weird and emotional. And Kate Mulgrew did a fantastic job giving a lot of gravitas to that. But all she, as Alexia said in our movie, all she is strong, and she's not able to be anything except strong. That's all they'll give you is strong, is what she said. Alexia said, why not be strong, but also, a fully realized person? So I found that writing a female character started with just writing them as a person. Like, let's write them as a person. Let's not write them as, this is my woman in the movie. No, this is a person. She's a human being. She's got motivation. She cares about things. She has things she wants to achieve. She has hopes and dreams. And then I read that through my wife in the way that she expressed those hopes and dreams. But I also am really, I've had a gift in that I'm in a post Buffy world. I'm in a post Star Trek right now. The lead character on Star Trek right now is a female character and not a captain. And the most interesting characters on that show are female characters. I've gone from, the lead character in Star Wars right now is a female character. I've gone from being stuck getting one female character who's a side character all the time to having wonderful examples of strong, fully realized female characters to watch. So yes, I did, but I also, I don't even have to go out and do my research anymore. The world has gotten to the point where they're like, 51% of the population are actually human beings. Who knew? That's weird. Wait a minute. They have uteruses and souls? Oh, that I had no idea. Wait a minute. You mean these people out there who outnumber us actually have a point of view and things they want to do? Weird.
Well, and with it being Hollywood, wait, you mean we can make money by featuring these individuals? What?
Yeah, no, I think they found out, and this is hold true for minority characters now too, that if you make movies where you represent people on screen, the people you're representing will go see those movies. And if you make those movies really good, everyone will go see those movies. And here's a really interesting thing. I think I had this conversation about Into the Spider-Verse the other day. That Spider-Verse features a half black, half Latino main character, Spider-Man. And we were talking about how important it is for those demographics to see themselves represented as heroes and as superheroes, because let's face it, there are a bunch of white dudes that have been superheroes forever. But I think it's even more important, not more important, but as important for little white kids to also see the people who don't look like them in heroic roles, because I think that it's going to be harder and harder for racism and for othering, the concept of othering being, I'm like me, but you look different than me, so you're not like me.
Right. And
so I'm going to not understand or relate to you because I don't understand you. I think the more and more we see and accept that, Miles Morales is a person who I've spent 2 hours not only looking up to, but really relating to. And really my heart's gone out to him. When he hurts, I hurt. That's the beauty of movies, right? when I'm worried for him, I care about him. It's going to be harder for me to leave that theater and then go see, a black person on in the store, or a Latino person out at a restaurant or something, and go, I don't like them. I don't understand them. I'm afraid of them. And it's going to be harder for me to walk out of that movie and then feel that way. And
right.
I feel like the representation is not just about tokenism or like throwing a bone. Like I don't think that's it at all. I think it's important not just for people to see themselves represented on screen, but for people like me and like my kids to see people other than themselves represented on screen, because it makes you realize that people are people. People are people. They're like people. They have hopes. They brush their teeth in the morning and they wonder if there's enough gas in their tank to get them to the gas station when they're on long trips. And they have favorite foods. And they have favorite shows and favorite songs. And that one time, that one person when they were a kid broke their heart. Like everybody has that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, why do we have to pretend that only people who are like us have that stuff? So that's, and it's not, I don't even think that's a political thing. I don't think it's political to go, hey, human beings are human beings. Let's just, treat them like human beings. And so the movie, I want to, it certainly isn't putting forth that as vibrantly as I am now. There's just a casual, and I certainly don't want to be labeled as I don't consider myself a social justice warrior. And certainly if I were, I'm the worst, right? Like it's like, I want justice for everybody, but darn it, Daredevil's on. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow because I got to get through Arrow before I can watch Punisher. So that's sort of I'm not that, but I do feel like if you can just sort of casually put it in there, that I'm not changing what is, I'm representing what always was, and has just, people have failed to represent up to that point. So that's, I wouldn't say it's a philosophy behind the film or makes me more or less equipped to write a female character, but I think that it's, I think if you start by treating your character like a human being, you're going to go a lot further. Well, that's a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's a good answer, and you made a good point too. I think if you just write the person as a person, don't angle it specifically, for gender, more people will relate to that character regardless of who's playing it. And I think there's so much emphasis on some of that, like you said, some people claim, social justice warrior. I look at a film now, I'm like, okay, so it had a female character. I never thought once, that they did this on purpose just to, because that's the thing now. I always felt that, that person's in there for just because they fit the story, and their personality and the character they wrote will fit the story regardless if it's a female or male. And, I think you do see that, though, depending on the writing. Some characters do kind of feel like, hey, look at us. We're putting this person in the film, and I think you do run into that. But this sounds like, no, that's not the approach you're taking. And it sounds like this is a lot of fun. You have a lot of talented people in front of the camera. Do you have your full cast picked yet?
We don't have any of our cast yet. The movie's weird. Like I said, it's an odd movie. Again, to get full representation, we're doing it. Every character in the movie is a sock puppet, and it's just going to be like. And I know it's weird to do it that way, but like I see, they're the Muppets, and there's all these animated films, and certainly we don't have the budget to. I mean, if we got like 6,000 or 7,000, we can do full puppets. But with 3,000, we got the cameras to make it look right, so I can do most of the voices. Mm-hmm. So the lady puppet's going to be. I'm kidding. This is not true at all. I'm just so laughing.
I'm like you're sitting going, okay, I'm going to let him talk, but puppets, I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, and you're being so polite about it. You're like, oh, okay, it's a really good idea, I guess. Yeah, sure, puppet. No, I'm totally making that up. It's not true. It's not true. We're holding auditions here in the DC area at the National Conservatory for Dramatic Arts in Georgetown on February 9th. And then we're doing callbacks and appointment auditions on February 10th. So if you live anywhere in the DC area, I'm getting like people sending me headshots from New York and like Iowa and stuff, and like look at our budget. Like we are paying our actors, but
you got to get yourself here.
And you got to we're shooting 3 weekends, and we don't maybe you have someone in the area. Everybody knows someone in DC, right? Is it true that everyone has somewhere to crash when they come to DC? What else can I tell you, my friend?
Oh no, I think we covered it quite a bit. You've got some good pledges. Why don't you tell our fine folks here about what are some of the rewards that they have for backing?
So we are going to be adding some stretch goals. I mean, that's what you do when you have a movie that has gotten full funding. But as of right now, our smallest goal right here is the monster commentary. Now, this is a commentary that's available on the DVDs, but has not been available anywhere but the DVDs. So I think that in addition to the monster commentary, as we deal with the Amazon Prime purge, I think I'm also going to throw monsters onto Vimeo just for a little while, so that you can watch it there. But the monster commentary is essentially this. We did our regular commentaries for the film, and then I thought it would be fun to have Dracula and Frankenstein and one of the witches, and I think the wolf and the mummy show up too, but they don't say anything, actually do a commentary for the film and complain about how much they hate the actors who are portraying them. Nice. So we got actual Dracula and actual Frankenstein to show up and do a commentary. And I'm in the commentary too as the director. It's the weirdest commentary you've ever heard. You've never heard anything like this. You've literally never heard anything like this. That's for $5. You get up to $10. You will also get another set of commentary. This is for all 3 films. Essentially, my buddy Daniel Ross, who has been my executive producer on all my films, and who is right now out in LA, doing voice work. He came home and we made up a bunch of margaritas and we did commentaries to all 3 Ninjas films, getting drunker and drunker. So it's going to be all 3. $10 gives you password access to those. And then we also will have $10, and alternatively, you can get access to a version of Trek Off that nobody's ever seen. Beyond that, you then have, once you get to $15, you will get a zip file with 200 hours of podcasts. And also the other things you get before. So all of a sudden you've got for $15, you want to have just immediately, here's 200 hours of stuff to listen to at work and all the way back and forth to work. It's there. It's yours. You'll have it. So I think that's a huge thing. And then you get your standard stuff, a signed DVD, a signed poster, and $50 or more means you can come on to my podcast and record a message, and we put the message out there for the world to hear. You get to $80 gets you all that stuff, plus you get copies of all the movies that we've done before on DVD. And then $250 gets you in the movie, $500 makes you a producer, and $1,000 makes you an executive producer with a title before the film. There are going to be more things. I think we're going to find a way to get the script out there as a reward, and I'm thinking about other ideas to do too. So that is that.
Great. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk about cancellation and a motion picture. And yes, folks, check it out. There'll be links in the description.
GetCancelled.com. GetCancelled.com. Guys, all right, so this is my plea. So for those of you who made it to the end of the show, listen. I know that giving to a project, not only do we have films and Kickstarters, and we got GoFundMe's out there. They're really valid things like my arm got chopped off, help me get a new arm. It's a great thing to donate to. Oh my goodness. How do I get you to donate to ours? It's just a little bit, and you get there's a way to get your name as a credit in the movie, and you've been part of it, and you'll be able to see it and know that you were part of it being made, and you've been part of making art. I think that when you look at the major movies that come out right now, there are some good ones, and there are a lot of the same coming out, and I like those. Frankly, I love sequels and franchises and superhero movies, and Star Wars and Star Trek. I love all the stuff I love getting rehashed, and stuff that other people love that are getting rehashed that I don't like. But it's just it feels like it's the same 10 franchises out there right now. Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, The Conjuring universe, Fast and the Furious, DC. Bond. I can't think of more. It's like they're all those movies. And this is something totally different. And I want to be able to continue to make these movies outside of the normal system so that we can say, hey, independent art is a thing, independent film is a thing, independent creation is a thing, and nobody's going to give me $5,000 more to make this movie. But darn it, if 100 people gave me $50, if 500 people gave me $10, we would be in such great shape. And I know that there are that many people who are out there right now. I know that there are 50, 100 people out there, 200, 300 listening right now at this moment going, hey, maybe, I don't know, let's go do something else. It's super easy. You just go to getcancelled.com and put in $5 and let us know that this is where you heard about it. Because it makes a huge difference. Our campaign ends February 6th. And after that, we can't take any more. So if you're listening before February 6th, please help us out. I know you want to, but then you're going to get busy. Don't get busy. Just go do it right now. It's okay. You're probably on a phone that can do two things at once. You can do two things at once. I know you. I feel like Bill Murray at the end of Scrooge. I know you're here. Feed me, Seymour. And you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that feeling. Says you're gonna want it. You're gonna get hungry for it. That's how I feel.
Well, that's a good movie, though. So it's a great movie.
This is me when I'm sick. Can you imagine me when I'm not sick? It's like, all the time.
No, it's great. I love the energy.
I love how I talk about drinking Jamesons when in fact I'm mainlining coffee all day long.
It sounds like me. Yeah, that pot of coffee just never always seems to. Where does it all go? I don't know. I have to fill it again because I come back to it and it's gone. I don't know where all that coffee went.
I have a pot of coffee and a Keurig, and I finish the pot and then I go Keurig single by single after that. So yeah. So all right, thank you, Mark, so much, man.
Oh no, this was a lot of fun, man. And like I said, I'll put links in here for I'll put the links to your Kickstarter and the Ninja versus Zombie and the IMDb and all that. That'll all be in the description here, and we'll have that up soon. And yeah, support indie cinema, folks. It's where the original stuff comes from, the real original stuff.
This is really, you don't get more original than this, guys.
It definitely sounds original, and I think it's worth your support. And yeah, thank you for your time, sir. I really appreciate this, and yeah, I hope you reach your stretch goals of 4K for 4K and beyond.
Well, Mike, thank you for always supporting us. It's been huge, and we really appreciate it. Like, we really, really sincerely do.
Awesome. Well, there, folks, check it out. And there is a comment section on this page. So if you do happen to check it out and want to share your ideas of what you think of supporting independent cinema in general, leave them down below. We always like that. And yeah, anything else you want to plug, Justin? Anything where they can find your other stuff at, maybe?
I mean, if you're listening to podcasts right now, I'm sure you could subscribe to the Trek Off and Totally Super podcast. And other than that, Sock Puppets and Jamesons.
There you go, Sock Puppets and Jamesons. Now that sounds like another movie right there.
That's right, yeah. So that's my autobiography.
Great.